Hello friends, this video on neural control and coordination part 26 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Next is the most important part of the ear, that is the inner ear. So inner ear is also known as the most important part of the inner ear is the cochlea. So cochlea, which is also known as labyrinth. So labyrinth is another name for cochlea. So it is the fluid filled part of the inner ear. So it is filled with a fluid. Now there are two parts of the labyrinth. So what are the two parts? Bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth. So these are the two parts of labyrinth. So bony labyrinth is a series of channels on the outer side. It is filled with a fluid called perilimb. Whereas membranous labyrinth are the channels inside the bony labyrinth. So if you look at this coiled structure, you can actually see that the inside portions are a series of channels which are filled with a fluid called endolymph. Endo means inside. They are called membranous labyrinth, and outside that are the bony labyrinth. Now bony labyrinth is, since it is bony structure, so it is present on the outer side and it can ensure some protection as well. So it is something, I'll just show you with the help of a picture. So we'll just see bony and membranous labyrinth. So before we talk about that, let us quickly talk about the different parts of the labyrinth. So one important part is the cochlea. So labyrinth is nothing but the fluid filled inner ear. So as I said, this is inner ear, the violet colored structure which you see. That entire structure is inner ear or labyrinth. It is of two parts. It can be divided into two parts. The inner portion is the membranous labyrinth, and the outer portion is the bony labyrinth. So inner portion is membranous and outer portion is bony. Now there are many different parts of the labyrinth. One important part is the cochlea, which is this coiled structure. Next important part is the vestibular apparatus, which is this entire part. So this entire part is cochlea and this entire part is the vestibular apparatus. So let us talk about both of these parts in detail. So first let us talk about the cochlea. It is the coiled portion of the labyrinth. As you can see, it is a highly coiled structure. Pressure vibrations converted into electrical signals. So this is the area where the pressure vibrations which were received up till now, they are converted into electrical signals, because only electrical signals can be transmitted to the brain through the nerves. So the pressure vibrations converted into electrical signals here. Vestibular apparatus is a complex system which is located above cochlea. So this system above cochlea is the vestibular apparatus. It is responsible for maintenance of body balance and posture. So maintenance of the body balance and posture is its main job. That is the vestibular apparatus. Now how do cochlea and vestibular apparatus perform their job? That we will see a little later. So let us talk about cochlea first. Now, the membrane constituting the cochlea. So, what are the membranes which form the cochlea? So, there are two membranes, that is the basilar membrane and the Resinus membrane. So, many new names, right? So, let us have a detailed look at the cochlea. So, this is how the cochlea looks like. So, as I was mentioning you before, that the cochlea is made up of, the labyrinth is actually made up of a bony labyrinth and a membranous labyrinth. So here if you see this light purple colored structure, which is the outer layer, that is the bony labyrinth. And this inner layer, which is a dark blue color, that is the membranous labyrinth. So if you see, this is present throughout. Throughout, this dark blue color is the inner structure and the light purple color is the outer structure. Now, right now we are talking about the cochlea. So that means we are talking only about this much portion, the coiled structure. So let us see. Now this is a detailed structure of cochlea, only the coiled structure. So that structure is in detail, that looks in detail like this. So this is broadly divided into two parts, that is scala vestibuli and the scala tympani. So where is scala vestibuli and scala tympani? Now as I said, there are two membranes which form the cochlea. So what are those two membranes? The basilar membrane. So this membrane is the basilar membrane. So here the membrane which you see, that is the basilar membrane, and which is the Resner's membrane. So this membrane is the Resner's membrane. So these are the two membranes which form the cochlea. Now the bony labyrinth, that is the outer side of labyrinth of the cochlea region, is divided into two parts. One is scala vestibuli. This region is scala vestibuli, and the lower region is the scala tympani. Now what is the purpose of these regions? So scala vestibuli is the upper part and it ends at the oval window. So you remember which is the oval window? The oval window of the inner ear. So you have the oval window somewhere here. So this is where it ends. Scala tympani is the lower part, that is this part, and it ends at the round window. So this ends at the round window of the Eustachian tube. So that is how the internal structure is linked. Now other than this, there is another region called the scala media, which is the space inside the cochlea. So where is scala media? So this space inside the cochlea is known as the scala media. So this region is scala media, right? And this region is filled with endolymph. So endolymph is present here. So this is the inside portion. So basically if you see, endolymph was present inside the membranous labyrinth, right? So this forms a part of the membranous labyrinth because it is the inside portion, and the outer portion is the bony labyrinth, and they are filled with perilymph. Now there is another important part of the cochlea, that is the organ of Corti. So what is this organ of Corti? It is a structure at the basilar membrane. So here you have the organ of Corti. So here this structure which you see, that this is organ of Corti, and here hair cells are present here which act as auditory receptors. So like how in case of eye you have the photoreceptor cells located in the retina, similarly here the auditory receptor cells, the cells which can actually recognize sound waves, those cells are located in the organ of Corti, which is in turn is located on the basilar membrane of the inner ear. Right? So now these hair cells, how are they organized? Here if you can see here, the hair cells are organized in rows on the internal side of the organ of Corti. And also if you look at each hair cell, you will see that their bottom or the basal end of the hair cell is in contact with an afferent nerve fiber. So this is how the hair cells are. Let us suppose these are the hair cells, okay, inside the organ of Corti. So let us suppose these are the hair cells. So these hair cells are arranged in the form of rows on the internal side, as I said. Now the basal end of the cell is in contact with a nerve fiber. So if you see, this is the basal end, the base of the hair. They are in connection, or they are in contact with a nerve fiber, and this nerve fiber is known as the afferent nerve fiber. We all know what is afferent nerve fiber. It is that nerve fiber which brings in information. It brings in information to these hair-like structures. And there are many cilia-like structures which are present on the apical part of this hair cell, and these structures which are present on the apical side, these are known as stereocilia. So they are small fine thread-like structures called stereocilia which are present on its apical end, and also there is a membrane above this hair cells, and this membrane which is present above is known as the tectorial membrane. So if you actually try to look at the internal structure of the ear, especially the inner ear, you will see that there are a lot of small components. So even here, if you look at the picture here, you can see that the tectorial membrane is somewhere here, just above the hair cells near the organ of Corti. So this is how the structure of the cochlea is. So now you understand the significance of cochlea. Cochlea has the hair cells in the organ of Corti, which acts as the auditory receptors. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.